Hey everybody, Matt DeBerry, dogpost.com. It is December 2nd, and we have a lot to talk about. It's a crazy week in college football. We've got signing day coming up tomorrow, but of course, Georgia takes on Alabama again in the SEC championship game, and we've got an Alabama senior defender calling out the Dogs. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Kirby Smart's comments on that Alabama player. We're going to talk about Gunnar Stockton, talking about the Alabama defense, his thoughts on Malachi Tolliver, the center. We're also going to talk about what Kirby Smart said about this crazy week with everything going on. The portal is opening up soon. We've got players already saying, I'm going to jump in the portal. We've got signing day. We've got teams changing coaches, conference championship games. There's a lot going on, and Kirby Smart is not having it. He is not happy with this college football calendar, which is it's a giant mess. It's out of control. We're going to talk about it all, but we're going to start with Tim Keenan, his comments about the Dogs, possibly calling them out right here. You can make that case, or you can make the case that he's just being really, really confident. But here's what he had to say to the media about the Georgia Bulldogs. He said, quote, "We've already beat this team before. We're going to go out there and make sure we do the same thing again. We're going to make sure we handle business on our own end and not leave it up to the committee to make decisions for us." So listen, this Alabama team, I think they are in the playoffs, whether they lose to Georgia, but their mindset right now is, hey, we beat this team before. We beat them last year. We always beat Georgia, right? So in a way, there's almost more pressure on Alabama to continue beating Georgia than there is for Georgia to get that second win over Alabama during the Kirby Smart tenure. So yes, Georgia needs to win this game for a lot of different reasons. They have got to beat Alabama more consistently. They've got to find a way to do it in Atlanta. But Alabama's got some pressure on them because those players, they're thinking, hey, we don't want to be the team that loses to Georgia. We always beat Georgia. A lot of these guys beat them last year. And in 2023, Tim Keenan, the guy who said this, he's from Birmingham. He's a senior. He hasn't lost to Georgia, but he sure beat them a few times, right? And a lot of these players have done it multiple times. They all beat Georgia in Athens. So this is a confident group. I know it's hard to beat a team twice, but their mindset is, hey, we do not lose to Georgia, and we're not going to do it now. We're going to win this SEC title, and we're not going to leave anything up to the committee. So, of course, as if Georgia needed any more motivation for this game, it's not big, and he's probably just being, confident, maybe a little cocky, but when you're Alabama, you can be a little cocky, okay? And I love that about, I think Kirby Smart wants his players to think that way and prepare and practice that way, but to say it does show a lot of confidence. But Kirby Smart and those offensive linemen specifically, they heard that. They're taking note, and they're going to add even more fuel to the fire that they already have. But he is a really good player. In 6 games, he's made 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, forcing another. So he's all around the football. Missed a lot of time early in the season, again, he only has 9 tackles. But when he's in there, he's making an impact. He's causing chaos. He's getting pressure. And when the ball's on the ground, which happens a lot, that's one of the things they do best as a defense. They force the ball out and they jump on it. He finds a way to make plays. And Kirby Smart knows that. He said about Tim Keenan, the Alabama defensive tackle, he said, quote, "Yeah, he's really strong. He's a stout, physical player. He does a great job. He always has. He's a force to be reckoned with. Really good football player. I mean, regardless who's in there from our end at center, Drew, whether it's him, I don't think it's going to be Drew Bobo unless, they find some magic that happens and, gets his foot and ankle under control there. Whether it's him or Cortez Smith or Malachi Tolliver or whoever it is, we've got to block the people in front of us. A lot of times on the offensive line, it's not a single block all the time. There's guys that can help you there. So they're going to have to scheme something around him because Georgia loves to run the football between the tackles. A lot of people say it's, quote, up the middle. There's different ways, right? There's inside zones. There's different types of pulling routes to get these offensive linemen moving and in front of these running backs who are looking up for holes. They got to get it going on the perimeter too. It's going to be tough to run inside. But that's what this Georgia team does. They want to pound you and push you forward and get those tough yards. Tim Keenan is the guy they really have to take control of, and they might have to get two guys on him too because he is that good. Overall, here's what Gunnar Stockton had to say about that Alabama defense. He said, quote, just the way they attack the ball really stands out. They have a bunch of turnovers for them this year, not only interceptions, but the way they attack the ball and try to get strip outs. I think that's a credit to them and how they run to the football and how they swarm to the ball as well. And I'm sure Nate Frazier would have said the exact same thing. He had the costly fumble deep in their own territory against Alabama in September. That was a game-changing play, and that's what Alabama, I think, needs. They need Georgia to drop touchdown passes, and they need to force the fumbles, right? Nate Frazier didn't just lose it. That was a forced fumble, a great play by that Alabama, defender. That's what they do. They attack, and they're punching that ball out. They force a lot of fumbles, and Auburn would say the same thing. That was one of the biggest reasons they beat Auburn's their ability to knock the ball out, and they were dropping it left and right too. But they forced turnovers, and that's what Gunnar Stockton said. He said, "We've seen it. We know that's what they're going to do again. We've got to be safe with the football." And he's, hasn't been as safe with the football recently as he has for most of the year. He's got to make sure that he is playing safe but efficient football. He's got to make some plays with his legs to open things up. He's going to have to take some shots, and there are going to be some times where the window is small. He's got to fit that ball in and play accurate. But the shots, I think, are going to be there. Alabama can give up explosive plays, but even Kirby Smart talked about the turnover margin. They lost it in the first game against Alabama, and that's what these games come down to. In a way, he told the media, guys, I think you're making too much of this. It's still about putting your best players in a position to make plays. It's winning the line of scrimmage. It's not turning the football over. It's hitting explosives. This is just a different game, but the way you win the game is the same, and they're not going to go away from their identity, which is running the football. But he said it's really no different. You win games how you win games, and it's still winning the line of scrimmage, attacking, tackling well in the open space. It's a lot, but it's the same type of stuff that leads you to win. So that's what he had to say. But he also talked about, of course, signing day right around the corner. So one of the biggest weeks, really, of the entire year. And he wishes it could be different, but he didn't really give an answer. When he was asked about signing day being the same week of the SEC championship, he wasn't thrilled, but he did give a pretty honest answer. He said, quote, change it to win, right? Win's a good time to have it. Last week, the next week, they made the decision a long time ago to move this in front of your roster changes and additions to your own team so that you would have one thing squared away. You would have to remember as little as 2 to 3 years ago, we had a portal going in and signing day going on. I was in the decision-making process when it came to signing the week of the SEC championship. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now, but I don't have a better answer. There's a calendar, there's a timeline, there's an academic calendar to universities and also to high school kids. There's a lot. There's not an opportune time to have it. You don't know what's best for most, and not necessarily the least, the teams that are playing. It makes for some tough challenges this week for sure, but people understand that. They respect teams that are still playing. He had to make sure to put that in there. He said, hey, it's difficult for us as I bring this back down. I didn't realize it was up that high. But he said, it's tough, but at the same time, you do all that hard stuff to be playing in conference championship weekend and to put yourself in a position where you are in the playoffs. So teams would rather be doing both than just one, right? If your season's over, it's a little easier to manage the portal and get your signing day class wrapped up because you're not preparing for a game. But every coach out there and every program would like to be doing both. They want to be playing in these big games because that's the ultimate goal. But you also have to address next year's team and put together the best signing class that you can. So it's all going on. You also have to have conversations with some of your backups and younger players who maybe didn't play a ton this year, who are really seriously considering the transfer portal, guys that you might need next year. So they're coming to you saying, hey, I'm looking for this amount of NIL to stay. How much do you need me, or this and that? So there's so many decisions that have to be made. But right now there's one focus. Well, right now the focus is on Alabama, but another focus is keeping Jared Curtis, the 5-star quarterback in this class, wrapping what's going to be another elite recruiting class. It's going to be that way every year. But really, the focus is on Alabama. But unfortunately for Kirby Smart and a lot of these coaches, there's a lot of jars that you have to have your hands in right now, and there's so much that has to be done at a high level if you want to have a championship team. Georgia has that. Kirby Smart knows how to do this. This is not the first year it's all happening, but the calendar's messed up. If there's anyone who can still put everything together properly, it's Kirby Smart. He is the longest tenured coach in the SEC now, and he's been in this position before. This is the fifth straight year where he is preparing his team for an SEC championship while putting together an elite recruiting class. There's a lot going on. Make sure you are on Dawg Post for all of the latest info. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over on the website.